Right now, we have with me a very special guest. He's a fellow Hex YouTuber. He's an up and coming like me. He is a crypto educator as well. It's not just Hex Pulsechain and PulseX. He also does videos on crypto in general. In fact, I learned about liquidity pools from from your video. So we have with us
Uh-oh.
Ben Dubard, ladies and gentlemen, making his debut. Well, it's not live debut, but his pre-recorded stream debut. How are you, Ben?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So, why don't you just introduce yourself to us? Tell us a little bit about you, however lengthy or brief you'd like to keep it.
Um, yeah, so been in Hex for a while. I got into it, didn't really know. Like, I like the long-term aspect. I just released a video yesterday where I kind of talked about my idea of the value proposition for Hex, and it's all about how it's kind of like a long-term like savings account. And I always like that because that's kind of how I was always like trained to look at money. Like the kind of idea where you're like, you see these articles and it's like, oh, this kid was saving for retirement at 14 and he retired at 30, like that kind of thing. So I was always growing up like, oh, if I can save money and like I can retire early. But then it's like, what does retirement even mean? That's a whole nother like subject. But so I didn't really like it didn't really do anything because it had just hit like it was like right before the big payday and I didn't really understand the big payday. I thought like I was getting like triple my money or whatever. And I didn't even know I didn't know what the OA was. I didn't know what any of that stuff meant. And everyone's like, the OA just did blah blah blah. Because I was watching on Twitter, and then I was like, well, this sucks because everything's pumping and this coin isn't doing anything. And my like new brain was like, well, this coin just did this many X's. So if it just did that, it's not going to like do anything else. So then I was like chasing pumps. I mean, everything was going up, so I had some Matic pretty early, and I just got really lucky pretty much because I got into crypto like July 2020, like really down the rabbit hole. I, I bought my first crypto like 2017, and then it all went down, and I was like, this sucks because I had like Christmas. I was in college and I had like Christmas money, and it's like, oh, let me put some of this in there, and then I was like, oh man, this sucks. Um, and I had a friend who was like real like tech, like computer science, and he was like, "Oh, dude, like Bitcoin miners, they sell their Bitcoin, to pay their electricity, and so Bitcoin is never going over 20K again. Like it's dead now." And I was like, "Whoa!" He was like, "Yeah, 20K is the highest it'll ever go." And so I was like, "Well, he's like the computer science major, like." I don't know anything about this stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't really think about it. And then yeah, so then I was like investing in stocks and like I had a Roth IRA, that kind of thing. I got into crypto, and like you, I was I bought XRP, and then I was watching these XRP YouTubers, and they were like, August 18th is the big day. We just got word of notification from a cryptic tweet, and I was like, whoa, okay, well, let's see what happens. These
The
guys are
president
saying,
just spoke about XRP. It was
huh? Oh yeah. Donald Trump is issuing the new world reserve currency. He's cryptically. I was like, what is
and
this?
thumbnail.
Yeah. And I was like, this is just insane. And then I was watching Altcoin Daily, all the like mainstream guys, and they were nice because they would provide like news of what was going on. So I was like, okay, it looks like stuff's like actually happening. Like these big banks are saying stuff about crypto. It seems like this is pretty legitimate. And then I would just watch like I got it seemed like crypto is the future, but I didn't really like get it. So I would just watch documentaries on YouTube like Bitcoin, like why does crypto matter? And some of them were really bad, but some of them were really good. And I was like, okay, I think this makes sense. Like I'm really into this. So I started putting a little bit of money in just in, and XRP did like 50% in a day, and I was like, wow, that's very interesting. How my money just went up so fast, and I didn't even do anything. um,
Magic
uh,
internet money.
so then I found Trevon James, and I was like, okay, here's someone speaking my language because all the guys were like very like follow the script saying things, and he was different where he was doing like yield farming on Tron, and I was like, was like, what is this? Like, he was like, all right, guys, like, get your syrup tokens over here. I was like, dude, what in the, and no one else was, I didn't see anyone else talking about this stuff. And I was like, what is this world of like, what is this? And so I'd like, was in his like paid Telegram for a little bit. And then like, it was just crazy. It was weird. And he would talk about Hex some. And I only knew Tron. Like, he was all big on Tron. So I was using Tron Wallet. I liked Tron Wallet because it was called Tron Wallet, and it made sense to me. So he's like, get this thing called MetaMask. And I was like, what is that? That's such a weird name. Like, literally, I remember being like, okay, I'm going to get some of this like Hex stuff. Maybe it was like July or August. And then I was like, it was like a weird looking fox, and it's called MetaMask. I was like, this is an Ethereum wallet. This seems super sketchy. Why isn't it called Ethereum wallet? Like Tron Wallet is called Tron Wallet, you know? So I was like, yeah, forget this. This is weird. And then like the run up to big payday again, he was like, oh, y'all should have gone in Hex, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh man, okay. And the first time I ever saw Richard Hart was Trayvon went on his channel, and I was like, who is this guy? And I don't know if you've ever heard of Myrtle Beach, but that's what Richard Hart made me think of when I saw him. I was like, this guy looks like Myrtle Beach. I'm from South Carolina, so and it's just like a crazy town. I was like, he looks like someone who like lives in Myrtle Beach or something. Like, I was just like, who in the world is this guy? And I remember watching the interview, and it was just really interesting. And so yeah, like I can't really, I just bought it because Trayvon was really talking about it, and yeah, then I forgot about it for a while. I was like, this sucks. It's not really doing anything, but in my head, it was like a long-term thing. I was like, it just pumped like crazy. I doubt it's going to pump like crazy again anytime soon. Maybe in the long term, it's going to do really well. So let me just throw some like staking ladder and think it's like a long-term savings account kind of thing. But that also stopped me from putting like a ton of money in, because I was like, well, it's long term, so let me just put a little bit, and then now let me go and like get the big money right now in this like bull market kind of thing. And so the side effect of that was I started watching the Furus again. And I started listening to Lark Davis and all these people, and when Richard Hart called the top, maybe this affects it. I was like with my family at the time, and we were like, well, I think my grandma or my grandpa, well, it was my grandpa, I think. They both passed away. And so we were like spending a family weekend at the beach, like, okay, whatever, like grandpa just passed away, And I saw him tweet it, and I was like, yeah, right, man. Like, I don't think this is the top. Like, everyone else is saying it's not the top. And so
100K or 100 or 350K, because that'll be the
yeah,
same
I
as
was
last
like,
one.
there's no way, and I hadn't been keeping up with him much because I was watching some of his streams, but then like I'd be like, oh, whatever, like I didn't understand a lot of the stuff he was saying also, because he's super smart, and I think a lot of people can be like, I think this guy knows what he's talking about by the way he's talking, but if you don't understand stuff, I don't know, like Bitcoin well or crypto well, it's hard to understand him. So then when that crash kind of happened, and then Hex started going up, I was like, I'm never going to doubt this guy again. Like, holy crap, because it was just amazing. Like it just started going up. It went to prices. I was like, oh, maybe we'll see 10 cents in like 10 years or something. I was like, whatever. Like, and then it just like blew through it pretty much. And I was like, wow, and everything else is wrecked. And he's sitting there. He's like, oh, I got bad news for the haters, and and then, and I was like, yeah. And then I did because there's nothing exciting happening. I wanted to learn more about crypto. So I did the Ivan on Tech. He has something called like the Morales Academy. It's actually really, really good. I did like the Bitcoin course, and he explains it like really, really, really well. And you understand basically exactly how it works. And so after I did that, I could then really understand like the genius of Richard Hart. Because I could understand like a lot of the stuff he talks about when he's like block size, blah, blah, blah. Then there's a book, Bitcoin Billionaires, which talks about the history of crypto. It's a book I read, and BitBoy talked about this on Corey Costa's.
Who wrote that book?
It's the same guy who wrote like the Social Network book, but the book, it's kind of like they they kind of like make the Winklevi twins look to be like these like heroes of like the world. It's written from like their perspective. It's like, oh, they just got screwed by Mark Zuckerberg, and then they found Bitcoin, and they were like the pioneers of like justice of like, we got to get Bitcoin to like, you know. But it also tells the history of, it tells a lot of history that I didn't realize, and I was like, holy cow, there's like all this history. So when I hear Richard Hart, he brings up that stuff, I like understand what he's talking about. So that helped me a lot. And then from there, I was like watching Quant Gang all the time. And yeah, I mean,
Shout
that's
out
pretty
to
much
Matty
it.
Allen.
Here we are. Yeah. Matty Allen and Kareem and Wales Only. And then Future Us, I think, was the other guy. That was awesome because that helped me understand the T-share, which it was weird because it was like for months and months, I thought I understood Hex, and then I'd like learn a new thing, and I'd be like, holy cow, this is like, I was be like, whoa, mind blown, like a new thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, this thing is so hard to understand. Like, it's so complex and like difficult to understand. It's just, it really is crazy. So, and now here we are.
Here we are. Very similar journey to me. Very interesting. First of all, you had your XRP initiation. So you have the initiation, which is XRP, and then you have the hazing, which is the getting wrecked, jumping into every single pump for every single coin that every single creator, shills, often for money. It's kind of like the Hex fraternity. You have to, you got to go through a couple of stages in order to really get to the space that that has the most honesty, integrity, and clarity with regard to crypto, which is like Richard Hart's ecosystem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I had Matic really early, but I've talked about this before where I did a lot of yield farming and like stuff on the Matic. So like if I just held the Matic, I would have made so much more. And then, it wasn't all terrible, but yeah, man, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yes, there's one point I was watching a Richard Hart stream and I was like, I should put like this amount of money into Hex right now. And I think it was right before the big payday. Maybe it was some time where like I remember the amount that I would have, like I remember the calculation amount of Hex I would have had, and I was like I could have like this much Hex, and I was like, oh, should I do it? And I was like, oh no, like this, and I didn't do it, and now I'm like, but it's like you get the Hex you deserve or whatever. You buy the Hex when you deserve it, so it's kind of like, it's like hindsight, whatever.
No. I totally know what you mean, and I've totally been in that situation. And I think it comes down to a lot of things. I think a lot of it is just you're always going to want to buy when it's ripping, right? It's like you can't time them. That's why. So here's a good question. Let's ask this question. So, what do you prefer, a buy the dip strategy or a DCA strategy?
I think like DCA on the dip.
DCA on the dip. Okay.
But also, it's like if you're like, imagine if you said that when Hex was like 10 cents, I guess, and then it like went up to 50, and you got like, because you didn't start DCAing, once it went to 50, you got FOMO, and then you like decided to buy. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. I think DCA on the dip would be the best.
Yeah, but so I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that you just got a DCA. It doesn't matter because when it rips, it could rip more. Like especially in crypto, when it rips, it could always rip more, and when it dips, it could always dip more. And you have combined with like the tendency to buy when it's going up because you're afraid that everyone's going to get rich and you're going to get left behind, and then sell when it goes down. You just got to DCA and lock that up so you can't do anything. That's what's amazing about Hex, is that that money is staying there.
That's true, man. That's a really good point. Like with Hex, like you can DCA whenever, and then if you're staking it and you're thinking about it long term, then yeah, it probably doesn't really matter in the short term. So
yeah, also like when you're not DCAing, like when you're not buying Hex, you are not receiving the yield that you would have received had you staked. And also before Pulse Chain, you're not you may or may not miss Pulse Chain. So I think it's a little bit picking up pennies in front of freight trains to be timing the market. I actually wrote an article about that on furufinance.com.
Dude, nice.
But
Yeah. Dude, I've been DCAing since I've just learned a lot of lessons because this is my first like bear market, So many lessons learned. So I was buying a lot at 20 cents. I was like, this is a sale of a lifetime. I was like, Richard Hart said Hex outperforms in the bear market. Like, we're going up any day now, And then I remember buying at 14 cents and I was like, whoop. I was like, oh man, I can't wait from like years from now. I'm going to be like, yeah, I bought Hex at 14 cents. Like,
you will. That's true.
yeah. But I was like, this is insane. And everyone was like, it's not 14 cents. I think I got caught up too much. And then now it's like down at like a 90 something percent. And Richard Hart's like, guys, it's on the website that this stuff goes down 95%. And I'm like, yeah, like, what the heck? So, I think DCAing less money at a time instead of, it was almost like a FOMO DCAing of like DCAing a lot of the stack kind of thing. So just so many lessons being learned all the time.
It's crazy. And now we get to pass on these lessons so you guys don't have to go through what we went through, okay? Just smooth sailing.
Yeah, right. I find it cool that you learned about liquidity pools for me. I don't know if I'm the best expert on it because, like I said, I just did really bad at yield farming and stuff.
But everyone does.
Yeah. So I hope, I made the video and I was a little like, I don't know. I hope this isn't like incorrectly. I hope I don't understand these incorrectly. But I think I gave the gist pretty well of how they work because impermanent loss is pretty confusing. There's a YouTube channel called Finematics, like Finematics, I guess. And they have a liquidity, like impermanent loss videos, liquidity pool videos, and they explain it like really well, but it's also you're like, what the heck? Because it doesn't make any sense. So it's like very confusing. And that's one reason I'm like, I stay away from it kind of.
Yeah. And anyway, and you're getting rewarded in something that drops 90%. I mean, it's also, people have to understand, like when you're exposed to impermanent loss and all the time you're spending on these things, you could otherwise be earning money and buying Hex. So, I mean,
dude, that's the thing I'm scared of for Pulse Chain. And one reason I made those videos on like liquidity yield farming is like when Polygon came, it was like you get all these yield farms that pop up everywhere. And, there's probably going to be something. It's like, this is the PulseX Inu DEX, and we have 10 times the APR of PulseX. Like, why are you stupid using PulseX? Come use us. People are going to be like, are you idiots? You're using PulseX? Like, PulseX Inu is where it's at. And there's going to be all these people. And then it's like, might be a rug pull. Like, that kind of stuff is going to pop up everywhere. And maybe like 1 in 10 will be like a okay thing. Like, they'll last longer. So I just worry there's like picking up pennies in front of freight chains or like shiny object syndrome where like Pulse does a 50x or something and then it lulls. And during that lull, you have these like other coins that start mooning. I don't know. I'm literally just like hypothetical. And then people are like, oh, and then everyone's like, Pulse already did 50x. It's not going any higher. And this is kind of happened to me in Matic. They're like, it's at 40 cents. Oh, you think it's going to go higher? It just went from like a penny and a half to 40 cents, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, yeah. So maybe it would be smart if I went into these low cap coins because the smaller the market cap, the more money you're going to make. And then you're like, yeah, okay. And then those coins don't do anything. And then Matic keeps going. And the example would be like,
and then you jump on Matic at the top, and then it actually can't go higher.
Yeah. Or what I did was I was like, this yield farming stuff super risky. I'm just going to do like tiny bits of money. And I was doing little tiny bits. And then I was like, nothing bad's happened yet. So and then there's a guy on Twitter. I don't even remember his name. He had like 10K followers. And he was like, hey guys, I have a Telegram group and it was free. And I joined the Telegram group and I was like, wow, I'm in here with this guy. He's super smart. And, there's some other Matic kind of influencers who had a pretty big following on Twitter who were in this group. So I was like, I'm in the alpha group. Like, oh man, I was like,
VIP.
this is like heavy duty, like behind the scenes stuff here. And this guy was like, well, I'm super bullish on this yield farm. I know the devs, like they're good people. This isn't going to be a rug, guys. This isn't going to be a rug.
Was he anonymous? Did he have his face on the?
I don't think. I think he has his face now. But then there's another one. In this one, her name was Miss Natoshi, I think, and she's talked about Hex. I randomly one day she tweeted about it, but she was in this group and she was like, "I don't like that yield farm. I like this other one," and it was called like Polycat. And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Polycat had been around for a little longer, so my like genius brain at the time was like, well, that one's been around longer, so it's got less gains in it. So I'm going to go with this brand new one with this guy. He says he's talking to the devs. Like this could be, this is going to be it.
The devs.
And so I was like, I'm going to go in like, a couple $1,000s now, like, get and just really make some good gains and like get that high APR. Because I said this in another video, you pay a fee to enter these little like pools, and you rarely, if ever, make the feedback. So I was like, well, I'm going to make my feedback this time because I'm going to go in heavier and earn higher APR. Like, and then I thought worst case scenario, like maybe I lose a little bit of the money, because even when I've been doing a couple $100 in these things or less, because the Matic fees are so low, you could do that. You could do a little tiny bit and experiment. And so I was like, well, whatever, maybe I'll lose like a couple $100 and I'll just take it out. Well, it ended up being like a complete rug pull, and like the impermanent loss of like just the Matic tokens were gone. And the guy just wasn't saying anything, and people were like, yo, dude, like what the heck? This isn't like something happened. And I remember like his response in the Telegram group the next day was like, LOL, like these things happen, boys. Like he took no accountability. Like he wasn't like, guys, I'm so sorry that this. He was like, LOL, haha, like it happens.
OMG.
And I was like, holy crap. And I just left the group, and that was like a huge lesson learned, where I was like, most of these guys, I mean, they really don't give a shit about you or anything. I mean, he could have been in on it. Who knows? And like, what's it like? I don't know. I mean, and then the moral of the story is that Polycat thing. Like a month or two later, that Polycat token that people were earning like 100% APR, it did like a 50x or something. So I was like, oh man, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's like these people that are new, they basically see another new project and they're like, hey, I'm getting in early, and they don't realize that most things are either scams or rug pulls. And if you get past the scam or rug pull filter, like they still probably won't make it, just because most things don't make it. You have to be extremely innovative, and even like as a founder, charismatic, to attract a community and maintain the continuity of the project. Like, and that's really why I just stick with RH with as Lit calls it, the trifecta, like Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, because he has a proven track record. He's extremely innovative. He's a benevolent founder. Obviously, there's no expectations in anything, but I mean, and it's early, so it has the I call it the novelty metric of being a new token. Now, a lot of people think that, oh yeah, because it's new, it's going to outperform everything else. That's usually not the case. But the projects that do extremely well, their earlier cycles, comparison to their later cycles, are their earlier cycles always outperform. But obviously, most projects in their early cycles, die after their early cycles and probably don't even perform well, because this is just the Wild West. That's really what it is. So I guess what's your take on RH Maximalism? Are there any other cryptos you're interested in? Because I noticed that you only cover RH products, like myself.
I think RH Maximalism is pretty safe. It's a safe way to be. But I guess the word maximalism, I don't know, like I like to have an open mind about everything, but I also don't really interact with other coins. Just like all these stories I'm giving you.
Yeah.
And like Richard Hart says, like all these coins, they're selling, like Matic and Ethereum and a lot, Chainlink, I think, they sell their own token supply to like pay themselves. And it's funny because that's like the thing people accuse him of doing. And
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
evidence to even support it. And it's like, so like anonymous founder is such a huge red flag, and it seems so freaking obvious. But but when you're caught up in the hype of everything's going up, and it's crazy because like that Shiba Inu is like one of those 1 in 1,000 things, and it's just really is like a lottery ticket, kind of like. That's another story I have where I bought Shiba Inu really early because Trevon James was like, "Shib is the Doge 2.0."
but he calls everything. He says everything's gonna go up, and then like,
I know.
yeah,
So can I tell this story? It's just an
yeah.
anecdote, I guess. So the
So less
he made
and less, so the people that are coming in new could hear it from us who've been through the washing machine, been chewed up and
right.
spit out. Like, I mean, that's just part of being successful in crypto is you
All
have to
these
learn
things
that
forged me to
people are
be
not your
like, I guess,
friends.
an RH maximalist, as you would
Yeah.
say. But I also like to keep. I don't want to alienate myself from other communities. I guess that's like the main reason. So I don't have it in my bio on Twitter, and I don't want someone to look at my bio and then automatically say, "Oh, this guy is that." Ooh,
Yeah.
and that's their problem because they. But I also like to just like, I don't know. I have friends, like I know people, they don't like Hex or whatever. Or I meet people in the crypto space. It's kind of like a crypto community where I am. And it's like, so I understand, I don't know. I get the perspective and they don't necessarily like, I don't know. It's not like I can just be like, people are going to talk about their cryptos and I'm like, Hex, 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 Hex. And they're like, get away. So,
Yeah, that's why I don't have hex in my logo, I guess, because I don't want people to just see the hex logo and just turn off. I think
right.
especially with, yeah,
Um, but yeah, anyway, Trevon made a video and it was like these old coins are gonna pump. And he said and Dogecoin was in it. And I was like, I put $50 in it. I was like, okay, whatever. He was like, this is a meme coin. And this was so keep in mind at this point, there is a whole meme coin culture now that exists, which I've also played around in and gotten wrecked in. So that's another lesson that I could go all on about. But anyway, um, it didn't exist. Like Doge was like the meme coin. So he's like, this is a meme. People love memes. It could pump. And then that was before Elon even like started talking about it really. Or I think maybe he talked about it way in the past, but like on the chart, this was like way before. And then Elon talked about it and then it just went. And so it was my $50 was worth like 1,200. And there I am trying to sell it on Kraken. Oh, all the exchanges. Oh, the coin that everyone holds on exchanges. All the exchanges go down when the coin is at its all time high that people want to sell at. Funnily enough, so I couldn't sell it at 1,200. And that was a lesson where I was like, dude, what the heck? I can't sell my coin when I want to sell it. This is crazy. So that's why dexes are so great because I mean, it's a little weird that all the exchanges go down at one time when the coin is like hitting highs and stuff.
yeah.
So
Funny how that happens.
yeah, so I then sold it at like 600, and so then at this point, Sheep has like it's having a big pump at the time. Like it was brand new. It was very like fringe. And Trayvon is like, Shib is a new Doge. And I'm in the Shib. I go in this like Shib Telegram and there's all these people and they're like screenshotting this guy's like, I have 100,000, like he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's like, OMG, because Shib had just it did. I look on CoinGecko and it's like up 100,000%. And I'm like, oh my God. And so it dips and I'm like, okay, time to buy. And then my Uniswap thing's loading, and I was like, why isn't it working? And then it bounced, and then I bought the top of the bounce.
Oh my god.
and in the I'm watching the chart on one screen, I'm watching the Telegram on the other, and the chart is like do just going down, and and then the chat's like do. They're like, OMG. People are like, I lost all my money. Like that's all my money. Like it was incredible. And I'm like, whoa. And then I buy the bounce and I'm like, oh damn it, like this probably isn't where I should be buying because it's like the bounce, but I'm getting like severe FOMO. And then it dumps and the 500. So I took the $100. So I doubled my Doge money, and I'm like, whatever. I'll put the $500 in Shiba, and then it dumped and it was worth like $50, and I was like, well, this isn't even worth cashing out because the Ethereum fees were like $50, $100, whatever at the time. So I just left it, and then one day it went sideways for forever, and then one day people are like freaking out about it, and it was worth $1,000, and so I sold half instantly. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then it just did its like thing where it went crazy. And I remember I played a game of like Rocket League with a friend of mine, and I was like, dude, and this, I'm taking profit and stuff, and I was like, dude, my SHIB is worth $2,000. And then we played a game of Rocket League, and the game finished, and it was worth $4,000. And I was like, whoa. So I sold half, and then we played another game, and I thought my screen was glitching because we played another game, and it was $4,000 again. And I was like, whoa. So I like sold half. And so like I just kept doing that. And then I come to realize months later or whatever, like, oh, if I had just held on, it would have been worth like millions of dollars or whatever. And I was like, well, I stuck to my principles, whatever, like, but it also created this feeling of like, you in the back of your head, you feel like shame or like bad about it. And then it causes FOMO in other coins. So then I was like, well, I caught that one, so I knew I can catch the next one. So it's like, even though I won, it made me lose because then I thought I could do that again in these like super risky meme coins where I was really just lucky. So it's like you win, but you lose at the same time because then you're like, crap, I sold too much, because it's very emotional and it's very crazy. And that was just like a insane, like, what the heck, because there wasn't a meme coin thing, like that wasn't a thing really, and it just came out of nowhere. I think, well, I don't know, maybe I'm not an expert on all of this stuff, but from what I understand, no one thought that was going to happen, and then it just did, and it was insane. Well, maybe some people, but
No,
right.
That's very interesting. No, I have very similar experiences. I mean, that's just part of getting into crypto, is you have to get punished, and at that point, it's either, okay, you could learn from your mistakes, and you could just buy and hold an excellent project like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or let's say, I mean, I mean, what else is really, there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, there's Monero, and obviously Hex, I think, is going to enter that league eventually. But you could either find one that you could buy and hold, or you could leave the space forever. And most people leave forever, and it's a very, very sad thing because it comes back, and then there's all that, like, oh, I could have had this amount of money, and you start, doing all the calculations on your calculator of how much you could have been worth. But the complication of emotions, like, emotions are so complicated. There's no way to make a game plan of, this is how I'm going to get rich, and through like timing the market. And I'm just going to stick to the plan. You can't possibly stick to the plan, especially in crypto. It's like where things could go up for way longer than you thought, and they could go down for way longer. And then you get emotional, and things start seeping in about, had you sold at this time, or it's just, that's why buying and holding is really king.
Yeah, I like, emotions are very weird because after the fact, like for months after that, I felt fine. Like I was very smart to sell when I was selling because I had no idea it was going to do that. And that's how I feel
Yeah.
now. It was like 4 or 5 months later, it's like suddenly it changed, and I was like, God, like I'm so stupid. I started feeling different about it, and it was like the emotions changed, or I felt weird about it, and then I started like, I don't know, chasing maybe like meme coin
Yeah.
things, and it was like I was like, no, I got a double, but I can't sell yet. And then because remember what happened with SHIB, and I'm like thinking that.
Yeah.
So it is weird, like and that's why just staking, I mean, it's crazy because like I don't worry about stuff really. Like I'm very chill.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know there's a community of like the crypto people, and like I see people like freaking out, this scenario right now. It's been so entertaining watching all this stuff, and it hit me today where
Yeah.
it was actually I was actually feeling really sad about it because it was exciting and entertaining to be like, but now today it hit me like there's probably families, people who were trusting this stuff, and it just sucks. It's really, really, really sad. So
Yeah, no, I wanted to. That was actually my next question was the FTX situation. So you had, for the people watching, you had obviously Sam Bankman-Fried owns Alameda Research and FTX. FTX has a token called FTT, which they print out of thin air, and only they get to do it. You don't get to do it. Unlike Hex, where you get to print it out of thin air, FTT only SBF and his exchange can really do that. So they do is they take that printed money out of thin air, they'd lend it, although it was illiquid, they would lend it to Alameda Research. Alameda Research would be like, look, we have billions of dollars in assets when most of it can't be sold. So the whole point in showing investors and creditors that you have billions of dollars in assets is to show that, hey, look, if we go under, we could liquidate and you'll get your money back. You'll get your loan back or your significant part of your investment. So then they pour money into it, and then so that was the reason for that. And then they would invest money and they'd lend them money, things like that. So then what would happen was they'd have the asset on their balance sheet. They go to the creditor. They get U.S. dollars. They'd send that U.S. dollar back to FTX, and then FTX would buy the FTT token, and then it would pump the price, and then they'd have more assets on their balance sheet, and then they could borrow more money against it. So it's kind of, they call it the flywheel. The flywheel,
right,
that's really what it is. It's a cycle. So basically, word got out that basically they were doing that. That basically a significant portion of the assets on their balance sheet, I think it was 80%, were Sam Bankman-Fried's projects or projects that he was closely working with. So then Binance, so that would imply that if the price would fall beyond below a certain point, there would be a margin call, and they wouldn't be able to cover their margin because they can't sell the FTT. It's way bigger than even the total market cap of the supply in the market. So then CZ saw that and he tweeted, "We have 500 billion in FTT token. We're gonna start selling. We can't be associated like." He associated with Terra Luna. He's like, we don't want to get caught up in that kind of thing. That fudded everyone, and the price started cascading, and obviously that means that the balance sheet of Alameda started cascading. Then CZ said, okay, we're gonna then so Bankman-Fried obviously is running to people for help, for capital, because people couldn't get their money. People were withdrawing and they didn't have the capital to cover those withdrawals. So he went to CZ and said, could you buy us out and give us credit, for this liquidity crunch? And they said they would. And just today, things happen so fast. This is what's crazy about crypto. Things happen so fast. This was over a 3-day period. So over a 2-3-day period, the most integral exchange, the biggest figurehead in crypto, he was on his way to becoming the number one guy. Basically, Binance said, we cannot buy this out. And it seems like he's running around with the chicken without a head, trying to find investors. I know Justin Sun just this morning expressed that he had a plan, but who knows? I mean, if Binance decided after 24 hours not to buy it, they obviously saw something within the company that it's like, we don't want to touch this. We don't want to go near this. So what's your take on that situation? And is there a future for centralized exchanges? I know you're speaking very much about your liking for the DEXs. So just go in on that. There's so many angles you could take.
yeah. I mean, it's like a thought I had today. Well, I've had this thought a lot of times where like people are so used to like getting screwed, they just like accept it now. Like it's weird. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of like Altcoin Daily tweeted something where they were like, "Oh, let's like give this guy another chance" or something. And I'm like, what in the world? Like people are
Because
like so used to,
just to say that, like, Hexologist was tweeting about how he was sponsored by
yeah,
FTX. Maybe it
yeah.
has something to do with
So it's just weird. I mean, this guy did come out of nowhere, and I don't know, maybe there were red flags. Like Sam Bankman just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's moments like these where I'm like really happy that I'm like listening to Richard Hart, because I had a little bit of Luna like a year and a half ago, and then he, is like, and I used to farm stable coins where I would have USDC or UST, because the USDC UST pair had the highest yield on like the quick swap that I would do on Matic. And when he said, well, if your one stable coin goes to zero, you're going to lose, you're going to lose money. even though you think you're safe farming stablecoins, and like stablecoin or like farming influencer guys that I would watch were like, this is the completely safe way to yield farm. And but then he says that, and I'm like, you're right. He's totally right. So I stopped doing all that. And like I sold on my Luna like way before the crap. I was like, why am I in this crap? Why am I earning 20% on UST? I can go earn 40% like in Hex on a token that, can rip, to Saturn or whatever. It can just rip to the moon. Like, so I'm like, I feel really happy that I've been listening to someone who's been very right about stuff before. And then it's also sad. And to answer your question on if sexes have I call it a sex, I guess they have a future.
Chexes.
Like, yeah, I mean, right now they're like the necessary evil of like getting your capital and getting it out. So, but I met a guy the other day who was like a coder, obviously a smart guy. And like, he was like, yeah, me and my friends have like a coding bot. We coded a bot to like it follows this like perfect trading algorithm, that kind of crap. But he was obviously very intelligent. And he was like, oh, like, I don't feel comfortable holding my own crypto. He was like, I almost enjoy giving my crypto to other people because he was like, I know I'm going to lose my phrase or something. Like, and it's just like, I don't know. It's a bit of bewilderment, I guess. Cause it's like, dude, that's the whole point of everything, of the whole crypto thing.
Custody.
It's like the whole point. So it's just like, it was kind of like, okay, man. But I guess I understand the perspective of people are like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't know what they got going on in their lives, but also I don't know. That's the whole point, like I said. So, I mean, the whole thing's crazy, and it's just, again, it's like these people are like, it's like all these people. Sam Bankman was like, oh, like I want to make money so I can give it away to people. It's like, dude, give me a break. And there's like, oh, he drives a Corolla and like
he's a vegan.
Oh God. It's like he hit like all these like cringe checklist of like, what?
Yeah.
But it's just today, like I said, I've been feeling very sad. But last night, for some reason, I was feeling like giddy.
It's exciting. There's a thrill of what's going on,
Yeah, I was like, 11K Bitcoin's coming, and I'm seeing tweets where people are like, just think, we're 5K Bitcoin away. I think Jenkins tweeted this. We're 5K Bitcoin away from Pulsechain launching. If Richard is like timing the bottom, so it's like, ooh, like here we go, like this is exciting, and I'm like,
well, it was,
yeah, and I'm listening in these Twitter spaces of like the Mario Nawal, the guy, I think it's what his name is, that said Richard on a lot. They had a Twitter space the day all this stuff was going down. And it's just funny hearing these people. It's like the SpongeBob's running around and like everything's on fire in his brain. And like that's what it was like. They're all like, okay, what's going on? Okay, oh, I'm having a heart attack. Whoa, and they're like freaking out. And I'm just like, because I think I've listened to Richard, it wasn't a surprising situation. Like I was like, oh, look, another like scumbag middleman, this guy who just seemed like a total scumbag in the first place. Oh, look, they're going under. Like not too surprising, but everyone else is like, how could this happen? And it's just like, it's just interesting, I guess, as well. But yeah, today I've been feeling pretty sad about it. Like people may have really like gotten messed up, and it just sucks. It really sucks.
It's like the South Park. Yeah, it does. And it's like the South Park episode after the 2008 financial crisis where they're like, okay, we're going to invest it and your money's gone. You remember? Did you see that?
Yeah.
You just go to FTX.com yesterday. The website was down. It was just a blank white thing. You had, let's say, tens of thousands of dollars on there, and it's just gone.
Yeah. And crazy. Dude, I've seen these like mainstream, I don't know, crypto people. Like I'm in a group chat with like 30, 40 like crypto people, kind of like a group. And I remember people were like, guys, like check out Celsius. It's this decentralized platform, blah, blah, blah. It's so awesome. And like people were like, wow. And I was like, oh, okay, it's decentralized. So I like check it out. And it's like, sign up, make an account, like give us your name. And I was like,
social security number.
I was like, this isn't decentralized. And part of me is like, I don't know. I'm not the I haven't been in crypto forever, so I'm like, am I missing something? Like maybe this guy knows something I don't. Like maybe he's right. Like there's a lot of this, where I'm like, huh, okay, well let's see what And I didn't. I luckily, I mean, I saw that and I was like, this isn't decentralized. Like what the heck?
Yeah,
And
they
people
like
were like, Terra Luna is like Terra Luna is so awesome. Like blah blah blah. Like it's like just wrecked, and it's like, man, like.
it's nuts. No, so Celsius, so that there's always a new meme going around where like people want to affiliate that with their project, even if it's not even the case, because they know it could help draw in, community members, like new onboard new users and bring in investors. So like uh in the beginning of the bull market, it was decentralized, and you just want to add it to your project. So like Celsius said they were decentralized because what they did was they take your money and then they've used DeFi. They've used like Aave and some of these and Luna, which happened to go under, to generate yield. So they basically took it, and then everyone's like, oh, decentralized, and obviously we saw what happened there. I was actually involved in Celsius, so we had a very, I don't know, part of what really attracted me to your channels were like very similar in how we got involved, and I just kind of have that feeling. And then seeing you say your story, it's just very, very similar. Like the way you were doing the yield farming, and then you heard the Richard Hart stream, and you got out of that. So I was in Celsius. I had a lot of money actually from gains that I got selling. It wasn't at the top, but it was like on sort of like I got into a good project early, and even though I didn't get out at the top, I still was in decent gains in USDC. And Richard said the bull market was over, but I put into Celsius because there's like a 10% yield. And I heard Richard saying, if you have money in, he called it block fee. He didn't say block buy, he said block fee. Pull it. There's just something about the way he tells the truth. It's just very, very piercing. It like there's no way around it. There's no wiggle room. Like just listen. I don't know. He has something very special. Do you feel what I'm saying?
He's real, yeah. I really enjoy how he just keeps it real, man. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think I remember one of your videos I watched. I remember you saying that how like he helped you get out of Celsius. So
Yeah.
and that's another thing about this whole situation that makes me pretty sad is that Richard Hart has been doing so much good. Like it's just the facts. Like he's helped a lot of people, and then I saw some guy tweet today, and he was like, I wonder how Richard Hart feels knowing that he's next. Like he's next to implode. It's just like what? It's just like the good people get attacked, and the complete like idiots like Sam Bankman. There's still people out there who are like, oh, like round two, man. Like you got it this next time. Like,
Yeah.
why does he get another chance? Like these
Yeah.
people should be in jail. Like Do Kwon should be in jail. I mean, I say this
Destroyed
sometimes.
lives.
Maybe it's extreme for YouTube. We need to bring back the guillotine. I've been saying that for a few years now.
We're not inciting violence, but metaphorically speaking.
But I say that in a way of like there isn't any accountability. It seems like, and it's weird how it's like okay for this stuff to happen, like, and people
It's
are
just moving on.
and it goes
Luna Classic now.
yeah, and it goes back to like people are so used to getting screwed, they're just like, huh, like, like they don't care if someone screws them over. They're like, well, like, would there be any other outcome? Like, okay, it's like, isn't it? I like this guy Eric Thomas, and he says like, when you let people do you some kind of way, when you let people treat you some kind of way, it becomes a culture. And
Yeah.
and if you don't stop people from doing that, it becomes a culture. And that's like we have this whole culture of like this, I don't know, just getting taken advantage of, being screwed. And it's like sad and it sucks because I don't know. At the end of the day, I feel like it's the individual's responsibility to like pull themselves out of that, but that's hard to do. And it's like sometimes you can't help people.
Yeah. And if not for Hex being around, it's like, where do you go? You go to Bitcoin, where you get dumped on by the miners. I guess it's not. It'll go up over time, or you go to Ethereum. I mean, yeah, I guess I'd probably be in Ethereum if not for Hex. But like now you have the opportunity to get in early on something that's going to be very big, in my opinion. Not financial advice, obviously. But
XRP, dude. I mean,
yeah. They say Biden's giving a speech. He's going to be talking about the Flare, Swift, the new economy, whatever that super hyper mega bullish for XRP. But all right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the 4-year cycle. They talk about the halving, and then 2 years later is the blow off top. So the bottom is a year after the blow off top, and then a year later is the halving, and then you have the massive bull market for 2 years. So the question is, so everyone said that this past bull market, it was over. Cycles are going to have to lengthen. That was Benjamin Cowan's thesis: lengthening cycles, diminishing returns. They were wrong about the lengthening cycles. They were right about the diminishing returns. It topped out pretty much exactly when it was supposed to top out, which was very interesting. And now the thing is, so I was thinking, okay, we're still on schedule, but now you have the Fed tightening. So I was thinking maybe that would lengthen. That would actually lengthen. That would lengthen this bear market. It could be more than 2 years. The cycles might be broken, and eventually it's going to have to break. But it's been following it like clockwork until now. But now it comes out. So basically, according to the cycle schedule, the bottom's supposed to be around now, maybe in a week or two. We're pretty much a year out from the top. So the bottom's supposed to be in. And it's coinciding where inflation's starting to cool off. We just got the CPI print was 7.7, which was lower than expected. The Fed said in the last speech, this or the next rate hike is going to be the last 75 basis point rate hike, which means they're going to start lowering the rate hikes or freezing them completely, depending on inflation, which seems very bullish for the markets. I'm saying if that's the case, that would be very bullish for the markets. Also, coinciding with when the bottom is supposed to be in, you have this massive thing with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX completely crashing the markets down to we're now at like 16.5. Bitcoin went to as low as 15,000. So, I mean, it's interesting how things fall into place. Things are really things are conveniently coinciding. Global events are conveniently coinciding with how the 4-year cycle is going to play out. But obviously, we don't know how things are going to play out. We never know. What do you think about the 4-year cycle?
I don't know. I mean, like if we get global adoption, like could we just blast off into some kind of like super cycle thing? I don't know. I'm not like the best expert on this stuff, but yeah, like you said, it seems like they're going to stop the interest rate hike soon. So I like to listen to like this guy, Gregory Mannarino and George Gammon. So I'm really like learning. I'm in the process of learning a lot about like, I guess, money outside of crypto, like macroeconomics, I guess, stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. I remember watching Benjamin Cowan too. That's funny. Like we are very similar in like the
Yeah.
stuff we've done and like the paths we've taken in crypto and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty plausible. There's this guy I like. You might have seen him. It's DIY investing, and he started talking about Hex and PulseX, and he's like overlaid this cycle with like 2015, and he thinks we could be about to, the length. I guess he's saying like the lengthening cycle could play out still, where like all of a sudden within the next month or two we go off. So it's a nice hopium to like listen to, where I'm like, whoa, maybe that does happen, but.
I mean, but that's not a lengthening because we're in a bear market, so the bull market didn't lengthen.
I guess technically it wouldn't be lengthening cycle, but it
would be, yeah.
He seems to think this could be like some sort of big correction, like flush everyone out. I think, I don't know. I guess conspiracy theory talk of like the market of like this is just like retail, everyone get wrecked, and then now like because I've heard Robert Kiyosaki and George Gammon, they're like, I like Bitcoin at 10K, and they've been saying that. And so I find it interesting. It's like now the big money can come in and basically take everyone's Bitcoin, take everyone's Ethereum. It's like, yeah, give it to us. And then, from there. But I don't know, maybe the 4-year cycles hold. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I was a believer that it would break because of the rate hikes, and now I'm starting to become more of a believer in the 4-year cycle staying intact. But I guess we don't know until we know, right? Eventually it will break. It's just a matter of when, and you just got to buy
Yeah.
the best project. That's what I think. What do
Yeah.
you
I
think?
wonder if, Hex kind of front ran everything else last time, if that's going to happen again. I don't know.
That would be nice. That would be nice. For now, I just DCA. Okay, so I guess we spoke a lot about Hex. Um, let's talk about the Pulse Chain launch. Everybody wants to know about the Pulse Chain launch. I'm actually, as much as I love Hex, I have to admit my viewership with videos that talk about Pulse Chain and PulseX do get more engagement. Because I guess people are excited about the novelty metric. They're excited that they believe they're getting in on something new and getting it on the ground. How that plays out over a long period of time, we'll see. But do you have a time frame of the Pulse Chain launch? When launch?
I don't know. I no idea, honestly. But I had this, thought. Richard Hart said he wasn't timing the bottom. But let's say Pulse Chain was finished since he last said that, and he's now timing the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. So is he trying to time the bottom? That's the question.
I don't know. I don't know. I had a video about this. Like I trust what he says. So I
Yeah.
think when it's ready, it launches, and maybe that's soon. I saw something yesterday where like something on the GitLab was updated for the testnet, but then I saw people say that that was just a comment and not an actual update. And then I saw people say no, it was an update. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe that's some like hopium, like the testnet soon. The thing is, like, I don't even know because like there's tons of smart people who say, well, once testnet launches, maybe we're a month away, and then other smart people are like, maybe it's 3 months away, and other people are like, it could launch within a week of that, and then it's like some people are like, he's not even going to do a V3 testnet, he's just going to go straight mainnet, and I'm like, at this point, it's like we're just shooting, I
Yeah.
don't know, just guessing. So hopefully soon.
There's too many as Maddie Allen says, there's too many unknown unknowns when it comes to tech, and there's just no time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, my take is that I'm getting a little feedback now.
Turn you down.
Or okay, wait, no, we're good. So yeah, my take is that I really personally don't mind it launching. I really don't see the rush because what I say is that if you got in early, then you're an OG and you're rich, right? So go do your rich people things and go buy. Like, why do you need the launch to make you rich? Just go buy your yachts and your Lambos and your mansions and your vacations and whatever it is that you want, and just have fun. There's the why do you need it to launch? And then if you're someone that's new to the space, you could really Hex is down probably over 95% right now. You could really close the gap. You could accumulate those T shares and catch up to people that got in a lot earlier than you. And now that's what I'm doing. And I obviously it's not financial advice, and I don't believe you should FOMO in all at once. You should dollar cost average. But now is a great opportunity. And once Pulse Chain launches, you're going to have to pick which chain you're going to want it on. Right now, you get it on both. So, what do you think about that take?
Yeah. Pretty much. I think I just wanted to launch soon, like the bragging rights and like the excitement, like just something to like be like, yeah, excited about. And obviously, it's just gonna be like what Richard says, he's gonna have like 5 charts to brag about now, or 4. Well, the incentive token makes it 5, that's right. So, but yeah, that is true. Like you get it copied over right now if you buy now. So Oh, not financial advice.
Do your own research. Okay. So I know you had a video on this. It got a lot of views, and I really liked it very much. You talked about Pulse Chain launching, how that's going to play out. How do you think the Pulse Chain launch will play out?
Well, like most of my answers, I don't know. I have no
This
idea.
is the
But
unknown.
I listen to some people and they say like uh Pulse is going to run first and then PulseX is going to run because more people sack for PulseX, and so they're going to like be going into Pulse.
That was my take.
So I think sadly a lot of people might wreck themselves because they're not going to understand. Here's one thing that's like the Ethereum W stuff. I went to like check that out and it was very, very, very confusing because it was like the dollar amounts the DEX I think Kyber Swap was giving me was like some insane amount that I knew it wasn't worth. So I'm just confused. Like, if something like that happens, there might be some not very people not really thinking, and they might be like, look, my thing's worth $5 million, whatever, but it's like not because we don't have a bridge live or something like that. And
You were
I,
probably priced in copied over stable coins that weren't pegged. Does that make sense?
yeah, but I think people might just see the number and be like,
Yeah.
why would this lie to me? It's telling me the dollar amount, you
I'm
know?
so rich.
So I just worry about that. That's why I'm say like don't ratio trade, but also I don't know, do your own research is the thing. I'm just ready to see what happens. I don't. My take on all this stuff is like have a plan, but also crypto can so much. It moves so fast, like you were saying, and so much can change. Just you got to be like I think in crypto you have to be a critical thinker. You have to be like be fast on your feet, and you have to really analyze things in the moment as well. So
Because by the time the price runs up, it's too late.
yeah. I mean, I guess it depends. I guess it's different for everyone because if you didn't get in any sacrifice, so for your question, like, are you talking about from someone who missed both sacrifice phases,
I,
or
it was a general like how things would play out in terms of price performance, but it's a little bit it's a little bit of a tough, maybe not such a good question because there's no way of knowing how prices are going to perform. But I guess
yeah?
what I would ask is, yeah, what do you think what do you think is the best strategy for people that like myself? I missed the Pulse Chain sacrifice. I got in on PulseX sacrifice, or people miss both sacrifices. How do you think they should buy? And not financial advice,
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm gonna try and put myself. I was very lucky enough to do both sacrifices, and I feel pretty satisfied with how I'm set up. Just like so, I'm probably just gonna sit around and watch. I maybe good advice is to just be there, be at your computer if you can, be watching smart people, um, people who, and by smart people, I think Just Ask Jesse is very smart. For some reason, he comes into my brain of someone who might. There might be people during these days who are like, guys, this is a good strategy or this isn't, and then it might, you know what I mean? Like I would just be there watching 'cause stuff can change in real time. Um, I have friends in this boat too, and like they're getting hex, and yeah, I think I said in my video like you could just DCA, kind of like be careful, be cautious. At the end of the day, like we're all so early, I would just not FOMO, go all in on any strategy. I guess is something like don't go all in on any specific strategy because I think at the end of the day, like in the long term perspective, it's probably going to work out. Hopefully, I don't know. I can't see the future, but so yeah. And that I think that goes for anyone, whether you missed both, whether you missed one or the other. Now, if you missed PulseX or you got PulseX and missed Pulse, maybe like it's different for you than if you missed both, obviously. And maybe you're like, screw Pulse right now. Let me just maybe I'll get a tiny bit and let me just wait and hold my PulseX only And then once there's more clarity on what the charts are doing, because I don't know, like maybe Pulse and PulseX have very predictable counter pump cycles. So then you just hold your PulseX the whole time, and you're like, oh look, PulseX is now pumping really hard, and Pulse is down. And but if you didn't wait, then you screwed yourself at the beginning because you did a bad ratio trade, or you like FOMO'd in Pulse when it was higher. So, and I think also, if people, whatever decision you make or whatever you do, like it's just a lesson learned when you make mistakes. So, like I was saying, like all the things I talked about, I hope I didn't sound like I was trying to endorse this kind of trading of, buying Doge, flipping it into, because the moral of the story is it was pretty bad mentally. It's not fun, and just learn from whatever decision you make if it goes wrong. And if it goes right, maybe don't say you're like a genius. Just be very skeptical of like, okay, I did something right, but maybe I'm not like a guru genius or whatever.
Yeah, because people, in a way, it's very bad if you're able to time a bottom or a top, because then you start to think of yourself as, look at me, I'm so capable, I could do it again. And then the chances of you getting it again after you already got it once are like probably that much lower. Or, I mean, you just got lucky, so now you think that you're going to be right every time, and then you get wrecked, and you have a lot more money at stake. So it could just be that much more disastrous.
Yeah, it's exactly like my yield farming story where I was putting in $30, very small amounts, and then as soon as I thought I knew what I was doing and was very smart, I put in a lot of money, and that turned out to be the rug pull. And the one I didn't do went on to do great. And it's like, so
Yeah. I'm very anti the ratio trading, because like in Hex, everyone talks about how terrible it is to trade. And okay, it's bad to trade, and I'm very against trading, but now you're trading in an environment that is never happened before. So there's literally no previous performance to base it off, like a system state copy on a new blockchain that has a community and a lot of activity. I know people say ETH fair and ETH proof of work, but those are pretty much ghost chains in comparison to what Pulse is going to be. I mean,
yeah. And that's like people, it's maybe a slippery slope. I'm seeing some people say, like, well, Richard is creating a chain now, so we have to not be, only into Hex. This is him endorsing all these other coins. It's like, whoa, you just made a big leap of like, what? So,
yep.
And that's one reason I really like Time Pays Me,
Yes.
like Matty Allen. Hopefully, it does come
Get
out.
well soon, Maddie.
Huh?
We know you get well soon, Maddie. He's been
Oh
in,
my gosh,
yeah.
yeah,
He's
for
looking
real.
like a Chad coming out of a car that flipped 4 times. He streams like 2 days later, looking like a total Chad.
That. Dude, yeah. I hope Maddie's doing well if he's
Yeah.
watching. I sent him a little message and stuff, but that was insane. But yeah, that's why I really like Time Pays Me. Like, but he said himself, no expectations. So I'm hoping that it can be what the plan is for it, and it can work. And I find it. I don't know. I guess I'm a little surprised more people aren't talking about it, because when he announced it, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna make a video on this right away, and I'm gonna try and be the first person to make a video about it. I was like, and I was like, I gotta hurry. And then like no one else made a video about it, and I was like, it's like, this seems like a really cool idea. So I don't know. I think it's just slippery slope of people being like, well, Richard did make this change, so why shouldn't I do this? It's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There
Yeah.
in a lot of these like new tokens. So my analogy is the .com bubble. When people during the .com bubble, the .com was the hot space. Everybody wanted to get in on it. All the companies, these new startups, they'd go public and their ticker would say .com, and then all these venture capitalists and hedge funds and then retail would just FOMO in. It would go up like 100, 200 fold, even though it was a complete skeleton of a company. But I'm not saying that these tokens, whether they're scams or not, or like just like completely, I'm just saying that like they're putting like Pulse on it, and like all of a sudden they have a sacrifice, and they could raise a couple 100,000, or they could they could get a lot of ripples like of a lot of chatter about it on Twitter, just because it has a pulse on it, or copies the logo colors, or they make it in a hexagon, and like it just really goes to show how hot Pulse Chain is going to be and how bullish I am on Pulse Chain. Although,
that's what's crazy is like my channel, the videos about Pulse and PulseX get like 4 times the subscriber rate, and I'm like, what other subject could you make a video about on YouTube where that's the case, And
yep,
it's it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm not saying other things suck. Like, there's stuff that's pretty cool. Like, I know there's a fork of Aave. I used Aave on Polygon, but I don't like that. I'm probably not gonna use it just because I did it and I didn't really like it. Like at the end of the day, I like staking the hex, and time pays me is gonna be cool. But and then like the Gerardo's NFT market, that's a really good idea. But like I said, like I did the thing where I would like put my Matic into things and they wouldn't work out, or they do perform less. And there's going to be so many like shiny objects coming out. I feel
yeah.
like,
You got to ask yourself, will it outperform the Richard Hart projects? And so it's like, not only does it have to not be a scam and not be a rug pull and not be a token that doesn't make it, which is so like even a token that's honest and not a scam probably won't make a comeback after one cycle. I mean, you look at 2018, there are only like 4 or 5 out of the hundreds and maybe thousands of tokens that came back, right? You had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, Monero, and Cardano. Those are the only ones that I could think of that made new all-time highs. So like even if it's none of those, is probably not going to withstand the test of time. And then even if it does withstand the test of time, so you're in that 0.0001% of projects, you still have to outperform Richard Hart's projects, which are insane moon runners, which have been. Obviously past performance is indicative of future results, but you have to outperform that really, because I have my money and I could either buy the safe bet, which is him. He's got not financial advice, but I could either go into his projects, a founder of a track record of benevolency, of integrity, of regard for the law, or you could go into this new shiny thing, which maybe it will make it in, but it probably won't. And I'm afraid a lot of people are going to be like, oh, these stuff are too old. Let me get into the new shiny thing, often, which pretty much piggybacks on Richard Hart's ideas and his brand and his logo. And they're going to end up, even if they get like a 20-30x, they're going to end up getting so much less than they could have gotten with the opportunity that I see with the trifecta of Hex Pulsechain and PulseX. I mean, that's just the numbers. I mean, you got to go by the likelihood. So that's really what I think about that. What do you think?
yeah. I think also like you put 50, let's say you're like, I'm just going to put $50 worth of Pulse into this thing and it fails, but then Pulse does another 1000x, whatever. And you're like, oh man, that,
50,000 you could have had.
Yeah, that a million Pulse I put in actually turned out to be quite a lot. So I don't know.
That's why I stick with Hex Pulsechain PulseX. And like you look at all these like influencers, they went around peddling things, either paid or they did it with sincerity, like really believing in them. They usually look foolish after a while. I mean, just look at all the projects that were mainstream. You look at Celsius, you look at Luna, you look at and now FTT and Solana. It's just you're gonna end up getting these sound bites of you looking like a moron and someone that you can't take seriously, even though you were doing what everyone else was doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes sense. Hold on, I'm going to drink some Coca-Cola.
Are you squeezed for time? I don't want to.
I'm good, man. We can do whatever.
All right, we can go a little longer. Okay, so this is the question. I asked this. I don't know if you watched. I had RH Max on, and I had Maddie, and I had to ask this because this is what gets all the views. If like you want a lot of views on your video, you just put on your thumbnail 10,000x in under 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Seriously though, anytime there's some kind of dollar amount or like that in the title, yeah.
So will Pulsechain and or PulseX do a 10,000x in under 2 years, in your opinion, not financial advice?
I don't know. But my phone just buzzed and distracted me. Hold on, I'm about to sneeze. I think.
All right.
Okay, maybe not. I'm not sure if it's coming. Yeah, maybe. I guess it could. I think anything's possible in crypto, so maybe. And then there's, I've seen people say stuff like, excuse me, like people are like, oh, well, going from anything that starts at 0 is definitely going to do 10,000x because it goes to a penny or something. So I'm like, I don't understand that because isn't 10,000 times 0 0?
Yeah.
Maybe I just suck at math or something because I don't
Yep.
know. I see people saying this and I'm like confused. I'm like, what am I missing here? But anyway, let's say from the sack rate, that'd be incredible. And it's like my emotional side is like, there's no way that's possible. But then my logical, and this is weird because it's like the inverse. Usually your emotional side is like, that's definitely going to happen. And your logical side is like, no, no, no. But it's the reverse here, which is super weird to me. And I don't know what to make of it because my logical side is like thinking of how like there's all these pumpamentals and there's so many, like the low liquidity, the centralized supply, the fiery community, the fact that so many more people know about Pulse and PulseX now than before. Like, there's so many people I think that know about it and want to get in. Like the fact that so many other things are just wrecked right now. Like I think DeFi is becoming I guess now,
A
hopefully,
graveyard.
DeFi is becoming like people are seeing it maybe hopefully in a better light after all these CeFi things are just destroying. So I'm like, there's so many pumpamentals where I'm like, and Hex did it. Technically, I'm a little bit like, oh, okay, did it, yeah. The Wix and who actually, but with staking, I'm sure some people have caught that. Maybe they haven't realized stake yet. I don't know. But anyway,
Valiant Brand got it on I think he bought on the day. That was one of the stories going around. He got it on the day 33.
Oh man. Okay.
And don't think you're gonna get it again, Valiant. Don't think that because you timed it one. You're
Yeah.
Superman. You got lucky, and let's just I'm just kidding. No, he
But yeah,
knows that.
so
Obviously,
the
he's
fact that
very, very
Hex did
smart.
it without a lot of these super, super crazy bullish things makes me feel like logically I combine all these things and I'm like, like maybe it could. But then I'm like, that would be just so unbelievably insane. And I don't know if like the fact that people sacrificed is going to make a difference because it's different than the AA lobby. I really don't know. Like, I think eventually it will. I mean, the thing is with any crypto, like any crypto, I guess it is accurate. Like you don't know. It could do whatever. Like no one thought Bitcoin was going to do what it did. And then Richard Hart said in the one stream where he was like live in Europe here somewhere, he was like $1 million Hex or something. And it's like,
I saw that. He said that. He said, yeah.
and it's like, who's to say that's never going to happen? It's like, I don't know, like this, it could, I guess. Like, so that's just my thoughts on it where I'm like, I guess it could happen, but I'm also trying to be like, okay, let's just see and let's have it launch first.
Yeah.
and then but
Yeah, that's the thing. So people thinking it's going to happen, I think, is really going to drive people towards the tendency of timing the market, and they don't. Yeah, and that's a little bit worrying because I just don't think it's possible. First of all, it may or may not happen, but I don't think it's possible to just get in. I'm getting in sacrifice 10,000x. We're gonna dump it, and I'm gonna have all this amount of money, and I'll wait for a 90% dip, and then I'll get back in. I think it's gonna drive people towards those tendencies, and I guess that's and generally when you are in that mindset of timing the market, you don't make it, and you definitely don't outperform people that were just buying and holding over a long period of time. I guess that's where Matty Allen's project comes in with the time pays me, which
Yeah,
is going to be very
and
interesting.
I think the early payday thing is very, very interesting. I think it's you can get 10% out, and
Yeah,
then you pay 1% of that to everyone who didn't use the early payday, and then after you use the early payday, you can use it again in 2 years, I think, and then after that 2 years, you also start earning the fees from the other people who are using it. So
very
I find it
interesting.
all very, very interesting.
I think the most important thing about his project is not necessarily the yield, which he did actually make a case that I think you'd be getting a lot of money in yield, especially if there's price appreciation um, with Pulse Chain and PulseX. But the most important thing is it saves you from yourself. That's what I really like about it. And yeah,
Same, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I thought it'd be fine without anything like that. Like when the first like version of it, I guess I was like, yeah, the saving from yourself. Because like he said, most of the hex like gains were from the price appreciation, not necessarily the yield and like being saved from yourself. Because honestly, if I hadn't done a staking ladder when I first got into hex, because Ethereum fees are really low, so I did a pretty. Now in hindsight, I'm like, this is stupid because I have like some monthly things, and the fee when the fees are
yes,
high.
I did that too. My first year was monthly,
Yeah,
just getting
yeah,
wrecked paying to unlock it. Could have just let it go, honestly.
yeah. I think I would have probably sold my hex bag to chase all the other because I was like, this thing sucks. It's not doing anything. Well, hopefully it works long term. You know, um. So yeah, it definitely saves you from yourself.
Yeah, and there's also another feature he has where you have a chance of saving your funds if a hacker or someone gets
Right.
their eyes on your seed phrase. You hear
The
about this?
reverse hack.
The reverse hack. He give you basically have two seed phrases. I don't want to butcher this. I'm sorry, Maddie, if I butcher it, but you have two seed phrases, and if the hacker gets your seed phrase, you get a notification uh, that, and then you have to wait. You have to wait 7 days to unlock it. So you get a notification when someone decides to unlock or withdraw or whatever. And if you didn't do it, obviously you were hacked, and then you could redirect the funds to the other seed phrase. So like the hacker, in order to have a successful hack, you have to not only know the primary seed phrase, you also have to know the seed phrase that the second seed phrase that was put in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is
I think
which has never been invented. Like this is like the first. This is very very innovative in terms of crypto. Like this is something that the biggest issue of crypto is people losing their seed phrases or getting hacked, and this can really have a positive impact on that. I don't know if it could completely solve it, but it really makes a huge difference. It's a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's just I hope people don't like put the two seed phrases for those wallets like in the same drawer or something. That would suck.
Same.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it is like really like pretty innovative and pretty cool. Because let's say you had a newbie friend, you could and you're like, oh, you could reroute it to your own wallet. So if your newbie friend messes up or something, like, and you don't trust them to hold both seed phrases, you could reroute it to yours. Because I think Richard Hart has said in the past, if you have a newbie friends and you want to give them crypto, like hold a copy of their seed phrase for yourself. And when I heard him say that, I was like, whoa, that's not like okay. But he was like, when they lose theirs, this will be like you're actually giving them their crypto, like because you had the backup. And I was like,
Mhm.
so that was pretty interesting to me. And it's kind of like it could work that way with Time Pays Me, where you tell your newbie friends like, put my address, bro, because I know I'm not gonna. mess up, or you hope.
It's like take my car keys because I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very interesting stuff. Let me ask you. I know there's a lot of frustration. We're in a bear market. Richard Hart has taken on the outrage marketing approach. What is your take on outrage marketing? A lot of people are very, rubbed the wrong way by it, and then there are a lot of people that are pro it. I guess which side are you on when it comes to outrage marketing?
I'm on the side of the fact that he probably knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. So I'm like, I guess like he says it's working, and he makes a good point that like I don't know, like Kim Kardashian, like the Kardashians, Jake Paul, all these people who are like viral, that kind of thing, just what they did. Um, so it makes sense to me. Like, and he said if there was a better way, he'd do it. But so, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a video on this. You look at all the metrics, of growth in the community. So you look at his social media following between now and a year ago. So Twitter was under 90. It was under 100,000, I think, and he's at 262,000. You look at exposure to mainstream media channels and things like that, and YouTubers. I remember it was like a big deal when he got on Meet Kevin, and then in the past year he's been on way bigger shows. He's been on Fox Business, and he's been on Fresh and Fit. He's been on Jordan Belfort's podcast. These are huge players, and I'm thinking like, and then you look at like on-chain analytics. You look at the number of people being onboarded every day and the new stakers, new holders. I mean, I think we're getting like sometimes I see 150, 200 new wallets that never held Hex before, buying Hex, or that never staked before staking Hex. And yeah, the price is down, but yeah, that's kind of the consequences of going up 10,000x and being in a crypto bear market where everything is tied together. So like the price is going to be down, but I mean, you look at all the metrics of onboarding and growth in a community. I don't know how people could argue that it's not working. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think you said it right, man. I think the price is down, so people are going to find something to be upset about. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he was like if the price was pumping right now, everyone would be like flex harder. So maybe I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It seems to work. Like the metrics are going up. Could there be a better way? I don't know. Like I think also like wasn't it like Hex was kind of marketed as a scam purposely in the beginning, and now he kind of wants to attract in a 90% whatever dip. Wouldn't you want to attract the people who maybe like need the help the most, who could be the people who see his outrage marketing and don't see it as that, but are like, whoa, like I want a bunch of Louis Vuitton or whatever. Not saying that there's anything wrong with liking that stuff, but I don't know. Like, I think he has a plan. I think he knows what he's doing. So
Yeah, I agree, and I think yeah, it's caused a lot of a stir. Also, I told this to RH Max because like it's so funny. You think like everyone in the Hex community is doing that, like is doing what he's doing, and like it's like just the opposite. Like it's so not like that. Like you look at the Hex broadcasters, the people that are the Hex YouTubers, like they're all like military people, or they're these Midwestern like polite people that yeah, and then they see Richard just like twerking or on the pole, and they're like, what's going
yeah,
but I'm from New York, so I guess I have more of an outrage tolerance. I'm used to a little bit more crazy stuff. So
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I had a thought, but it's escaped my brain. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, any more questions or
we
anything?
yeah we could we you could always come back with that thought, but just I just wanted to end it with you focus a lot on just educating in crypto. So with obviously the FTX debacle, while you don't keep your money on exchanges, what is your on and off ramp of choice?
I've used Coinbase and Kraken. I think Coinbase is like the most beginner friendly, and
Yeah.
Kraken is nice. You can wire funds and send them off the same day. So the first time you do it, they make you wait 5 days before you can send it off to like MetaMask. But after you wait one time with Kraken, you can wire funds, get the wire the same day, get it to MetaMask, which is like really nice. And I've never had problems with either. And I think the fees for USDC on Coinbase are 0. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's the same like that everywhere too, but those are the ones I use. And I never keep money on them, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's the lesson of the last few days.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I use Coinbase just because it's so easy, like you said. Um, and then when it comes to security, storing seed phrase as well as the wallet, that hardware wallet that you recommend people should use. What do you think about that?
Um the industry standards are Ledger and Trezor, so
Yeah.
it's like that's all I recommend. And then obviously get it from the website, the Ledger and Trezor website. So was there any more to the question, or was it
I
just?
guess in terms of seed phrase storage, but yeah, I wanted to say that yeah, Ledger and Trezor, that's what everyone says. That would be the one thing I would maybe affiliate market because it's there's such a good
Yeah,
reputation. There's like nothing to really affiliate market. I can't do leverage trading links. I don't want to wreck
yeah,
people, but that's actually an interesting idea.
yeah. With seed phrase stuff, like the security can like totally depend on the person. So you know, ideally maybe like have it carved in metal, or do like if you look up metal washers seed phrase on the internet, you can find where people like carving into metal washers. Um, so, but it's going to be different for everyone. Someone, I don't know. I try not to live like you have to be paranoid in crypto, I guess,
Yeah.
like cautious, but I don't. I live a pretty relaxed. I try to stay pretty stress free. So like, you know, I'm not like, oh, my seed phrase all the time. Like,
I am.
let me go check on it. And then some people they say don't store it at your house. Some people, I think, even some people do store it in a security deposit box. Don't think I would do that. So
Yeah.
it's different for everyone. Like, um, you could chop it up, I guess, into three. Apparently, like chopping it into three pieces. If someone found one piece, they wouldn't be able to like put it together. I think. I don't know. So yeah, I think overall it's just like it's a spectrum. Depends on you, and you have to figure out what's going to work best for you. So at the end of the day, you got to like know what you're going to feel safe with, but also don't be an idiot when it's like I feel safe leaving it, like in my car or something. I don't know. That probably would be a bad idea.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So the last thing I'd ask is what's your message to people that are down 95%? Uh, you know, they're waiting for the Pulsechain launch. They're a little bit, it- they're in a difficult situation. I mean, you shouldn't be in a difficult situation. You should really not be investing what you can't afford to lose, meaning like you should have enough cash that you could survive without income for even a year before. I don't know, that's my opinion, but not financial advice. But like you shouldn't be in a position where you have like where you don't have enough money to side note obviously, but you don't have enough money to you don't have enough money that if the price drops 95%, you're going to be going crazy and going fudding everyone's bags on Twitter or whatever. But what's your message to these people?
um, I think, like Richard Hart says, it's part of the game, like the 95% dumps, and just take as many lessons as you can from it. I mean, this is my first bear market as well. So, like, just learn, think, like, what could I have done better? And I think you got to take responsibility. If you're I don't know, holding grievances towards someone else because you're, and I know that can take time and it can be hard to really get that to go through your head, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying feel bad for feeling a certain way about something because I know
Yeah,
that can happen too, but it's just like, this is crypto and it's all about taking responsibility. Like, ultimately, like, you're in the situation. I think it's going to get better. Um, and so you're just paying your dues, I guess. I think you're lucky to be in this situation. And if you look at it in the right way, because you're learning now instead of later. And so I guess next bull run, or if that happens, not financial advice. I don't like speaking in like the absolutes, especially.
yeah,
So it's like, just learn from it, and just see the light at the end of the tunnel. Be optimistic. Optimism, like, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. And that's the challenge of crypto. People who aren't in it in the space, they don't understand, like, it's not easy. Like, the mental anguish is probably like the hardest thing.
great point.
Like, I got family, like my own brother to my face is like, I think what you're doing is stupid and crypto is going to fail completely. My own brother, who I love so much and have looked
Yep.
up to, and I've reached a point, like, when he said that, I didn't even care. I was like, it's like, okay, man. Like,
You got to be mentally tough in order to. You got to be resilient. If you could
yeah,
handle these
yeah,
90% dips, I think family members saying that you're primed for that to be able
yeah.
to withstand that.
You gotta stay in your lane and just, yeah, be mentally strong, that kind of thing. It'll hopefully work out for everyone.
Yeah, and you look at us. We're down a lot, from the all-time highs. I'm not one of those people that got in on Hex early, and has already has enough money to do whatever I want. Like, it's fine, I made sure that I had enough cash, to to live off, and my expenses wouldn't I wouldn't have any expenses I couldn't afford to. I could maintain my standard of living, and I have money that I'm getting from working, and like everything's fine. I'm not worried at all, and I just see this as a great opportunity. And it's not financial advice, but if you're of the belief that crypto is going to make a comeback, I really think you're in the right place. That's my opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, this is something that, like, seems like overplayed. Like, this idea, like, well, your favorite store is off 95%. You flock to it. When the crypto is, you don't. But if you have never heard that before, that's another way to think of it too. It's like, it's an opportunity, could be potentially an opportunity. But it's, yeah.
Yeah, great. That's great message to end off on. Ben, thank you so much for coming on. It was obviously such a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we could do this again. But
Yeah, man. Have to get you on my channel.
oh, I'd love to come on your channel.
And man, thank you so much, because it seemed like so smart when I was watching your videos and you were bringing up comments that people
Yeah,
made. Wow, that's so smart, because it's like, why, like, give the people what they want,
yeah,
And so I appreciate you, because I've seen kind of what you've done, and also, like, I noticed your videos were edited. You were cutting out the spaces where I was kind of like, whatever, I'll leave in the space, and it flows faster. And I was like, oh, he's doing that too. Let me try doing that. And like, the first video I did on that, like, did so well than all my other videos. And I was like, wow, So yeah, I appreciate you so much, man. And inviting me on is real cool.
no, it's
So
a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And the reason why I do the reading comments, to be fair, I know you gave me credit. I just saw this morning you gave me credit in your video. Obviously, that's not like I mean, it was the first to do it in this ecosystem, but that is something that people have been doing. So I can't take all the credit.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
but it's when I came into Hex, like there were no clips. If I wanted to like look up a specific thing, people like you really had to comb through some of Richard Hart's, 3-hour live streams. You had to find the right moment in the stream. So I think I wish there was someone that would have done that for me, and that's why it's great that people like me and yourself are able to do it for other people. which is a great
Yeah,
thing.
I agree, man. There's so much great knowledge like in the live streams, but that's also like the downside is like it's hard to find. And then that's how I felt with the video about like how to add a hardware wallet to an existing MetaMask. That because that's like I remember when I had to do that, it was like I didn't understand. Like it was so confusing to
Yeah.
find how to do it, and there's so many things that are so frustrating and not just hard to find. So
And people could be turned off forever. Like they come into space and like all these confusing things and no one's answering their questions. They can't understand anything and it's just like they're gone. And that's really a tragedy if you could miss out on this opportunity that I think is gonna happen.
yeah. Oh, by the way, I recorded that video that I posted. I'd recorded it before you invited me on, so I probably would have mentioned that I was going on had I recorded it afterwards.
Oh,
But I
oh yeah, yeah.
post it. So
No worries, no worries. All right. Thank you so much again for coming on and I appreciate the shout out and I appreciate everything you're doing. And
you too,
it's
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
such a positive impact. All right, Ben Dubard, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man. See you.
All right.